Dr. Malcolm, but I think things are a little bit different than you and I had feared.
Yeah, I know. They're a lot worse. Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
Good evening and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am Tom Counters, and with me is the one, the only Mexican Iron Man. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing very arriba, andale.
Andale.
Yep, that is my new term. I am doing arriba, andale.
That means excellent in my book. And also joining us, not only one, but 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. How are you doing?
All 32 flavors are alive, well, kicking and throbbing, Sir Tom. Glad to be here with you and Mexican Iron Man. And, of course, when Klobby gets here as well. Hail to the chat.
Clobbering times, and who knows who else might show up. But for now, it's the trio, and we're going to get rolling. And we've got some great people in the chat.
Swollen, right.
Well, that's because you were traveling, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's not.
So, how was your trip?
Very good. All things went well. I trying to keep the blood pressure low and a calm demeanor this week. I am more on a reflective mode when it comes to being a fan of various fandoms now. I am Zen Mexican Iron Man.
So you're Mexican Iron Zen?
Yep.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Interesting. And yes, D-Bud Martin, no Six tonight, at least for now. She said she had some things come up that she wasn't able to make it. So at this time, she is not going to be here. But you never know with her. She might pop in if she's able to. But yes, for now, we are the three amigos, as Hank VP says. That's right. That is you, Mike. You're in the chat and on screen. We got Bashy Washy here, who says, hail, people. We got Warm Monkey, who says, yub nub. And then Curse Persia says, was that the voice of God? Why not? It was a close second. It was me. That's right. We got Isaac Lenman here. We got Fletcher Williams. We got Hamdinger in the house. Welcome, everybody. We got Morgan King here. How you doing? Hamdinger says, finally. And we got Coffee Lover here, who says it's showtime. That's right. And Cosmic Vader says, this show is sponsored by Rabbit Chicken International. That's right. A subsidiary of Mexican Iron Man Industries, Inc. All rights and lefts reserved.
Hashtag
TM. Yes, indeed. And Fletcher Williams is in the house, and Fletcher Williams says,
yay! Oh, that was good the way you did that one.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one around. I did some cleaning up in the videos.
Oh,
so, nice. I didn't add too many. I just did some cleanup. So some we don't use too often. Then there's like these. Why I don't even know why they're here. They're here. I know why they're here.
Tom pole dances backstage. What does that video button do?
Don't push it.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Not right now. It's for another time.
Okay.
Weird.
That's right. But welcome everybody to the show. We've got a few things to discuss before Nick Weiser does his Toxic Tuesday thing. And for those who may not be aware of what tonight's film is, it's one of my personal favorites. Dead or Alive, you're watching with me. It's RoboCop.
That sounds so good.
I'm just gonna let you talk for 2 hours in that voice, and I'll be, and whatever will be okay with it.
In this scene, I found my motivation by thinking of flowers in spring. And then I crushed his face. I think that'll work. We can do that.
I have a request from Fletcher Williams. Instead of Arriba, he wants me to open the show with Arriba.
I think people would be scared if you did that, though.
Oh.
You can't run, Obi-Wan. That's what she says.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Is that RoboCop or Optimus Prime? It's easy. This is RoboCop. This is Optimus Prime. Autobots, roll out. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Oh my God! You know what would have been the best Autobot ever? A Mexican taco truck.
Oh.
Hey, yo, I got all the tacos you want right here.
Where is carne asada?
I got carne asada sauce. I got some salsa. What you want?
Hey, I want tamales.
Sauce. Tamales? I don't make tamales.
Oh, you too? Oh, son of a bitch.
And then he would have a horn.
Autobots, get the hell out of here!
I'm telling you, if they had an Autobot, can you imagine? Autobots Internacional. Imagine if they had a
Autobots International.
Exactly. So imagine if Optimus Prime, right, had like he did some diversity hiring and like the dude, like you know how they were hunting down the Autobots and got Transformers number 4A or whatever.
1, 2, 7.
Whatever. I don't even know the name. I can't remember the numbers because they all blur together. Like after the first one, they all blur together to me. So what would be funny is that, like, you imagine they're like hunting. They would have gone right by the Home Depot and the taco trucks. And they would have caught any of my Autobots. Oh my God, that's what I needed. Mexican Latino Autobots.
Oh Lord. Worse it'd be racist as if all the Mexican Autobots were worker trucks. Like different various kinds.
So good.
All right. We also have Klobby joining us. How you doing, buddy?
Hey there. Pardon me my tardiness there. Good to see you, everyone. Hey, my friends.
No worries, man. We're usually late anyway around this time, so we just decided to get rolling here. And
excellent.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you for the invite, sir. Tom, Nick, and Mike. What's up, my friends?
What's up? Dude, Klobby, another guy I'm going to be seeing in a few hours as well.
Yeah, buddy. I can't wait for that. Hello, chat. Hey, Dig Jobber. My friend Jobber's in the chat. What a great chat you have going on there, man.
Don't get their egos all up in the air. Then they'll be expecting more.
That's just the way I am. The chat.
I am just back here blocking blots left and right in the live stream.
I know.
Oh wow!
Showed up all of a sudden. As soon as you got here, Klobby, I think they like you.
They're following me, dude. They've been following me everywhere. I've been getting a lot of them lately, man.
I saw them on the Monday night show last night. You got slammed pretty hard.
Well, I guess what it is I'm kind of nice to them. I'm not mean to them like everyone else is. Hey, bots are people too. You guys, they're just trying to join in the conversation. They don't know what to say.
So they just say a bunch of really geeky stuff.
Exactly. They're
trying not to embarrass themselves, but they're just not with it and hip.
Little things. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Nikki D's in the house, and she says with $5, can the Kenobi show be saved if Obi-Wan Kenobi wakes up at least at the last scene of the last episode to proclaim, "Oh my, it was all just a dream"?
No,
not the only way you could at least salvage anything, and no, you can't. It's get out.
I get the idea, but my just says here's this: the time that is being given to this over the course of 5 weeks. No, at that point, you got played just as much as his dream did.
It's over. It's over, Johnny.
Lord. It's over, Johnny. It's Chinatown.
Yeah, it's ruined. He is another destroyed character in a long list of them. In my opinion, I'm not everyone agrees with that. I realize.
No, I gotta agree with you there. But I got a super chat here on screen that I'm obligated to sing, Mr. Roboto.
Ooh.
So Takar domo origato, Mr. Roboto. Domo. Domo. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Thank you. I don't remember the rest of the words. It's like most of the words. Is there any more words to that song? I don't think there is. I want to thank you for saving me. Domo. That's it. I can't think of any more words.
I don't know all the words to it.
I can't think of any more words. Mr. Roboto. It's kabuki theater time, is it? I like that word, kabuki.
Kabuki
I
theater.
do too. Kabuki.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You don't just turn it off. That's right.
Isn't that a trauma movie, Sergeant Kabuki Man?
That might be, yeah, but that line is from Rambo.
Yeah, of course.
Speaking
Why
of
from
Rambo, I don't know if this is much of a segue, because Rambo's revival didn't work out as well as Mavericks. But Mavericks, on the other hand, is doing great. But they hit a bit of a speed bump here.
I think this is nothing. I looked at the article.
Nick, for the benefit of the viewers, let's get into the issue.
No, let's talk about it.
Go over
and
the article.
You'll
Let's
disagree.
go over the article.
Objection overruled.
Objection.
No, let's talk about it.
Objection, Nick. Lack of foundation.
Lack of foundation. Overruled.
Are you fact checking me, Mike?
Speculation.
No, I'm just trying to. You're about
hearsay.
to hearsay. You're about to render your opinion, and the crowd doesn't.
No, I wasn't. I was just being very
leading the witness.
I was gonna say why. I was just.
Your Honor. He's leading the witness.
All right.
He's leading the witness.
Go for it.
Your Honor, could you please instruct the witness to listen to the story before commenting on the story?
Yes. Could you wait until I'm done before objecting? It was the worst time of my life. Objection. It wasn't the worst time of my life. That was like one of my favorite ones. Okay, so this is what's going on here. Top Gun Maverick should be grounded, copyright suit claims. Paramount straps in to defend ourselves vigorously. So, they're not Viacom CBS anymore, are they? Oh, yeah, they are Viacom CBS, that's right. They've changed their name so many fucking times. Yeah. I forget who they are anymore. Good morning, aviators, Tom Cruise says in a line from the blockbuster Top Cruise Maverick. Or Top Gun Maverick, not Tom Cruise Maverick. It might as well be Tom Cruise Maverick. This is your captain speaking. Today's exercise is dogfighting. Specifically, there is now a legal dogfight between the box office high flyer Paramount Pictures and the Israeli-based widow and son of the author of the 1983 article that inspired the 1986 original film. Mm-hmm. In a copyright suit filed Monday in California federal court, Shosh Yoneh and Yuval Yuneh want unspecified but clearly big buck damages from the studio, and with a very odd sense of timing, and injunction to stop screenings and distribution of the May 27 released sequel, as well as many more movies in the franchise. Calling Top Gun Maverick derivative, Mark Toberoff and Alex Kaczynski represented Yoneh's, alleged that Paramount is thumbing its nose at the statute that allows the termination of rights after 35 years. Which is something I brought up several times before in previous cases. It's something we've talked about. These claims are without merit, and we will defend ourselves vigorously, said a Paramount spokesman who masturbates vigorously as well. The studio will obviously have to respond to the suit in federal docket in due course. In the May 1983 edition of California Magazine, Ehud Yoneh penned Top Guns about pilots and program located in a second-floor cubby of offices at the east end of Hangar 1 at Miramar. The piece was optional ASAP, and Yoneh was cited in the credits of the first Top Gun. Mm-hmm. As cool as Iceman so far, right? Well, yes, even then you get to the long-delayed Top Gun Maverick and the rights to the article reverting back to the Yonehs in January of 2020. Now, that date, of course, is very important.
Yes.
Despite the 2022 sequel clearly having derived from the story, Paramount consciously failed to secure a new license of film and ancillary rights in the copyrighted story following the Yonehs' recovery of their U.S. copyright on January 24 of 2020. Reads the three claim jury trial demanding civil complaint. The Yanais contend, and Paramount denies, that the 2022 sequel does not qualify for the prior derivative works exception under 17 USC because it was not completed until long after January 2020. While seemingly not engaging deeply with the Yanais and attorneys, Paramount did tell the now plaintiffs last month that the 2022 sequel was sufficiently completed by January 24th, 2020. And anybody who's been a long-time fan of this channel will know that the effective termination date, in a disingenuous attempt to bootstrap the 2022 sequel into the prior derivative works exception to termination. So, ladies and gents, and Bob, we have ourselves a showdown. By the way, if you recognize the name Mark Tobereff, you are G-Force Deluxe. The Tobereff and Associates founder took on Warner Brothers and Marvel and Disney on behalf of their heirs and estates of Superman co-creator Joel Shuster and great Jack Kirby currently, along with this Top Gun action. Tobereff is locked in a war with Marvel over termination rights for characters created by the likes of deceased Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Don Rico, Don Heck, Gene Cullen, and the still living Larry Lieber. Strap in, there will be turbulence. As we have said before, that is also something that's going on. So, the problem I see here is probably some of the same things that you guys are going to jump to right away, is that this film was completed and supposed to be out in 2019 originally, then it got delayed again because of COVID, and now here we are. The movie finally made its way to theaters. Do you think the courts will see it the way Paramount sees it, in that the movie was done in time, or do you think they might side with the offended party? What do you guys think? Let's start with Klobby at the bottom there.
I think they're going to side with the film, and this is not going to amount to much of anything really at all. I think it's kind of a non-story really. They just I don't know. That's just my gut feeling on it. I don't really have much more than that because I have not read this story to talk about it. So I don't think they're going to have a chance against Cruise Boy.
I think you got a point there. What about you, Nick?
Okay, so here's where I'm at. So originally, this movie was postponed for a different reason back in 2019, because originally it was July 2019, but the reason why it got moved to the 2020 was not because of the Chinese virus. What happened was, they were having issues getting the stunt work done, and they were either, hey, you can either get a stunt double to meet the deadline, or we can push it back. So he moved it to the summer of 2020 to get the work done. So that's what happened. Now,
yes, and then it got delayed again because of COVID. Yes,
and that's when the Corona stuff started kicking in with the delays. I think I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I think they have a decent case here. I'm already forgetting their names, but we'll just say the Israeli people. I feel like they have a decent case here. I think this will come down to a settlement. I think what will happen is, I think that there won't be no future Top Gun movie. Yes, it has been done since like late 2019,
the end of 2020. Yeah.
It's been done for a while, Southern Peanut, but I think we might get a settlement out of this. Maybe there won't be any more Top Guns, which, to be fair, as much as I liked it, it doesn't really need it. So it kind of works out. Even if I set aside my opinions of the movie, I think this is something they're gonna. Also, there will be some flexibility towards Paramount because the whole Corona situation was literally out of the court. So I think Paramount. I almost called them Corona. I think Paramount will have a very small loss, and on top of it, they're making a lot of money with this movie. They can afford to give something quite substantial to these guys. Will it be enough? Is, I think, going to be the ultimate question.
All right, well, Mikey, let's get your angle on this.
I am not an attorney, and I don't practice one in real life or in the fake life, but this movie's had multiple opportunities to come out. I can't see why it's being filed now. I think it's because...
You mean this lawsuit?
This lawsuit, yeah.
Because it's a hit now.
Yeah, it's a hit.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm like, come on, you guys! If you're gonna do this, you should have done it way. But like everybody, and that's what strikes me. What strikes me as interesting is everybody thought this movie was not going to do as well as it's doing.
Yeah, we'll
Everybody,
hear that later in another article, actually.
everybody thought that, and guess who
I
else
knew it
thought
was
that?
gonna do
People that
well.
might even have, people like this that might even have a claim didn't think it was going to do that
Right.
well. They've had ample opportunity, ample time to prepare, ample time to file, ample time to resolve this, and now that now that it's happening now, this thing ain't going anywhere. And Paramount's going to dig its teeth in. There's no way that they're going to allow a significant uh, um, lawsuit or any kind of litigation happen. I don't even think it's going to settle. They're gonna ramp up and they're going to go f you and get this thing tossed.
You know, Mike, I'm kind of more in your corner right now, and this is going more off of what I know about the whole copyright law, the stuff I've studied in the last few years. And again, I'm like you and everybody else on this panel, not a lawyer, but you have a situation here where the individuals decided they weren't going to file this claim until the Monday after the second weekend of the film being released. Now, my first question is, why didn't you file this when the movie was first announced, while it was in production, when you could have actually shut it down? Why? Because then there's no money involved, and that's just it. If Paramount shuts it down, there's no money. The other thing that's really going to kill this lawsuit, if it gets very far, is if these individuals were already paid for their residuals for the sequel, and they accepted said payment.
Ooh, that's a good thought, Tom.
Yep.
Because if that's the case, then they fuck themselves big time there, because the release date has nothing to do with the completion of the film. And I can go by this, knowing what I know of all the Fantastic Four shenanigans over the years. We have two examples of that. We have the 1994 film, which never got released officially.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do have the Fantastic, which was just a rights grab and did get released officially. And again, that movie got done just in time, so Marvel couldn't get the rights reverted back to them.
Yeah.
Now, Paramount, there's another law here that I don't know and I'm just become aware of because of this lawsuit. They clearly didn't make a play in the Friday the 13th lawsuit. So that's where Paramount might not have any help if all the things I just said are not true. If they didn't pay anything else, if they were going off the original contract, what have you. And they're just like, well, we'll get this movie done real quick before the rights are up. Then we don't have to worry about it. That could be the case. And if they manage to do that, good for them. Because there's this derivative works law that I don't know anything about that I need to look into. Because I think that would have affected the Friday the 13th lawsuit, and it didn't. In fact, they're at a stalemate right now with what they can do because of how that lawsuit turned out. So I think it'll be curious to see if this makes it to court. I think that the dates are going against the individuals who are making the claim.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to get tossed out.
Yep.
I think Mike's right that they will not. This is one of those cases where they're not going to settle.
Nope.
The movie was done well enough in advance. There's enough proof of it. It's not like they're blowing any smoke up anybody's asses. We've seen trailers back in 2019. Didn't they even show it, I think, in early 2020 at some like CinemaCon or something like that?
Yep, they did. They were actually starting to get some promotion going in early 2020 because they were so sure of it coming out. Because remember, when it got moved to June 2020, right when the 6th month hit, that's around the mark when you start to see a movie like per se a big budget movie. That's when you see the promotions start to slowly shift into how you got interviews starting to come around. You start to see them all the big magazines like your Entertainments and your Vanities. And you see the story starting to come out. You see photos of the onsets, and those things were already happening. And then obviously we all know what happened in the world in March.
I was going to say, because I thought there was an early screening and then the movie never came out.
Yep.
So there was a bunch of people who had seen it at this one con or whatever. I think it was CinemaCon because it would have been around that time.
I remember us talking about it. Or I remember I remember hearing. Wait, I don't know if I was on the show at that point, but I remember
Well, they did Ghostbusters, I think, last year at CinemaCon.
Right. No. I remember I remember hearing you guys talk about this issue, though. And I mean, in terms of not the.
Oh yeah, Top Gun's been in the works for such a long time.
Yep.
That it's not even funny. But no, and as far as the rest goes, if they didn't pay these people, then guess what? I'm gonna steal a quote from R&B. It probably wasn't in their contract, and you don't get what you're owed. You get what you negotiate.
Yep, that's my point.
True.
So if they negotiated a bad contract and Paramount managed to beat them by that window, then there's nothing these people can do, and the case is going to get tossed out in court.
Yep.
So we'll see how this goes. This is going to be an interesting situation if it does go to court, though. So I don't know if anybody has any more to say about that at this time. I am going to try and work up a video on it at some point here. I got some other things I got to work on, though. But on the Friday the 13th front, Dr. Coffinail says, if the Friday the 13th lawsuit gets cleared up, you think Jason Never Dies will get made? Here's the thing. Originally, people thought that the adult Jason would not be affected by this case, but it turns out that's not true because adult Jason is a derivative of the original Jason, or he's actually not derivative, he's the same character. And Paramount was trying to argue the other way around, that he was a derivative character, and he's not. He's the same exact character. So, technically, Victor Miller owns that character too, so this puts everything at kind of a stalemate. So he owns all the main aspects of Friday the 13th aside from the name. And Sean Cunningham now owns the name, but he doesn't own the original characters, so they're kind of stuck. Now, he can have some new version of Jason, probably without the Jason name, but I don't know how much different he would have to make it. Maybe that 25% different. That could very well be, and his name is Josh instead of a hockey mask.
His name's going to be Ernie.
Catcher's mask. Ernie. Yeah, that's way off.
Ernie the 13th.
Ernie the
Tom,
13th.
how is it that these companies get into all these insane complications with these contracts? Like,
well, this is actually something that's kind of more new because this law came about in 1976. Okay. We're just getting to the part where a lot of these newer works weren't already in like public domain era, or like Superman, where they were fighting for years and years. In fact, I believe this law came into effect because of the Superman lawsuit. And that is that after 35 years, a sole creator or creators can go back and get an original character or story back as long as it was not work for hire. Now, the problem you have with a lot of these comic book characters is a lot of them were work for hire. Yep. And they have a hard time proving that, and that's where like the Schuster situation went with Superman and all that stuff.
That's right.
Go ahead, Klobby. I'm sure you know a little bit about this. So.
No, I'm just going to say, yeah, most of the ones outside of the early golden age are all work for hire. That's what's causing all these problems. In fact, the only reason the Kirby heirs ended up getting paid back around 2012 and 13 or whatever it was is because Ruth Bader Ginsburg threatened to open up the case in the Supreme Court, and it looked like it was going to be more trouble than it was worth in terms of creation. You know, she was going to just basically, and whether you agree with the things she says or not, basically threaten to look at it, which means legislate from the bench and make changes to establish things. I mean, as much as I love Jack and Steve and all those guys, then it was a very archaic system, but they did sign work for hire, a lot of them. So
yeah. But then again, they also acknowledge that a lot of these guys were young and naive, and that also came into the music industry as another situation. So this kind of happened in the late 70s when they put this new law into effect. So now we're just finally seeing a lot of these original creators go back and get, like James Cameron went back and got Terminator rights, and we saw the Friday the 13th lawsuit. We've been hearing of a few other ones here and there. RoboCop recently, speaking of Nick. So we'll see how these things pan out in the near future. And this is a very interesting one. I was planning on going to see Top Gun this week when I go see Jurassic World, but now that Jurassic World's getting shit reviews, I'm like, fuck.
Are they that bad though? Like, how bad is it?
They're getting really bad. Bad enough that Universal is pulling them down and really pushing the embargo.
Tom's gonna have to see Top Gun. Tom is gonna have to see Top Gun now.
Well, I've been planning on it anyway because you guys keep talking
in the morning, Top Gun in the evening.
No,
because I watched the original one in 3D this last weekend.
I hope the hype doesn't kill your expectations for the movie, because you've heard so many people just tell you how much they enjoy it. I hope you're not at that point where I guess you could say your expectations are adjusted, and then you come up like, it was all right.
They've fallen a bit, so maybe, but yeah, I have that problem a lot. Yeah, where people build shit up, and then I'm just this is not what it was.
Or backwards, so the other way too. They'll say something's really horrible. Yeah, you'll go see it and go, I mean, it was all right.
That's what I'm hoping with Jurassic World. I'm kind of second. I might still go if I can afford it. I'm just sitting here going, go see both movies in the same day. Maybe I can catch like Top Gun on IMAX and see Jurassic World in 3D. Yeah. Maybe, or something like that. Make a day out of it. We'll see. Beat Bop Boop says, when do you think Warner Brothers Discovery stock will start to go up? I've been following it, and thus far, it seems to be in the down low. Zaslav, I have faith in. We're gonna, that's a good segue probably to this
Yeah,
next story
let's
here.
talk about that because that's an interesting question to ask. Because
I don't know when their stock will go up per se, but HBO Max is just chugging along very well. I wish Culture was here because he'd be able to answer this better. And I don't know what they got coming up here as far as big launches for anything. I know they got that little DC family film coming up, but what's their big summer movie coming up this year for Warner?
I don't know. When you said that, you mentioned
next
Super
summer.
Pets.
Next summer,
Super Pets is
isn't
probably
it?
not coming.
Yeah, Super
Next
Pet's the
summer
only one I can
with
think
Mission
of.
Impossible, because isn't Mission
That's
Impossible
Paramount,
Warner Brothers?
though.
Oh,
No, that's
also that
Paramount.
is Paramount. Okay.
My
Well,
answer to his question is this. First of all, you've got a lot of chaos in this company, and you've got a lot of moving parts. You've got the CNN moving part. You've got the Discovery Channel, which is chugging along. Warner Brothers, he just got there. There isn't a plan. Aren't any results. I mean, you're not going to see any. I'm not expecting to see any major improvements at any time soon, especially when the market in general is suppressed. There's just a lot of moving parts here. He's cleaning. He's doing what needs to be done, but he's in the early stage. It's kind of like that question. It's kind of like, well, when's the house value going to go up? Well, he's got to finish the remodel first.
Yeah, this is still pretty early in the game, and it looks like their first big hit of the summer, first big launch movie of the summer is going to be Elvis.
I saw a trailer for that.
Otherwise, yeah, I don't see any other ones right offhand here for the first bit of summer here. But so yeah, that could do okay for them. But yeah, let's get into this article because that's a great question, Beat Bop Boop. I wish I could have answered it better, but I think Mike answered it pretty good for you there because that's about the best I can say on that. But he's making some moves, and we know that now because we got this article that dropped today that really caught my eye, and it says, for Warner Brothers, a leadership change, a Polo Lounge lunch, and a nagging question about DC Films' future. Now, it's interesting that they bring up DC Films in this article because we recently heard from Mikey Sutton about the Dark Label. I don't know if you guys had read about that at all, but
yep.
Yeah, so what that is he claims that it's going to be actually ran by none other than Zack Snyder.
Ugh.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be primarily on HBO Max, I believe. So I don't know if there will be any movies involved with that theatrically. And then it sounds like on the theatrical side, though, that it will be.
I mean, I'm a Snyder guy. Claudia and I, there's God knows how many. Claudia, how many? There's at least 10 live streams out there where you and I have had it out on this stuff.
No, I don't know if we've ever talked about it, dude.
Really?
No, we never really, no, I'm not even kidding. I don't think we've really discussed
Not
it.
at the same time on the same show.
But we know where each other stand on it, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. You've heard me and I've heard you, but we've
Yeah,
never. The thing that Snyder made a huge mistake on is that he picked the wrong stories. Well, look, I'm a huge Snyder fan, but he picked certain stories of a certain era, of a certain time period within DC, and that is not going to give Warner Brothers the broad-based appeal that it needs. I really don't think going dark and taking a sort of rated R jump. I know what these stories are. That's not going to get the bit. That's not going to bring in all the bucks. I mean, I understand why they want to do it. They looked at what happened with Joker. Oh, we need a bunch more of that. But I'm going to tell you, why can't we just get Superman and Batman so kids can go to the movies with their families? Why can't we get that?
Because that's what I was saying.
This is where I've got to pull back from my being a Snyderverse fan guy, and I was a Snyderverse fan. All the stuff they hear about Snyder fans, I was one of those wackos. Okay, that was me. And you guys fans of Tom's show of Midnight Sedge After Dark, you guys know my personality well enough to know how zeal and exuberant I can get. And I was just that wacko off of, restore the Snyderverse, get the Snyder cut. But let me tell you, I really don't think this is the right decision in two regards. Number one is his decision-making of stories in general was bad the last time around. And number and it was proven throughout. No one wanted to see that Superman. Tom, you've commented many times. And number two is that if we want to really, if Warner Brothers wants to make money, it needs to get the best, broadest appeal where we can all come together on what is the Superman we want to see. And I'm talking about the character. We all know that we want to see Henry Cavill, but how is Henry Cavill going to be played? Is he going to be a Superman or is he going to be a Batman? You know, is he going to be off?
That's a good question, and he's brought up in this article here. So I'm going to launch into this here, and then I'll get you guys' reaction to this. You could listen to the Trinity audio.
For Warner Brothers, a leadership change, a Polo Lounge launch, and nagging.
No, we're not listening to that.
Your voice is so much better.
I'll read it.
It was a public show. Oh, you want to do it? Go for it.
I'll read it. I'll read it. You watch the chat. It was a public show of no hard feelings. On Friday, Toby Emmerich had a meal with Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi at the Polo Lounge. Ooh, I've been there. A hub of deal-making and power lunches. It's a great place. In a move that was clearly designed to send a signal of solidarity to Hollywood. The bread breaking, which went down as show business players like producer Donald Delano and CAA agent Joel Levin dined nearby, came just a day after Emmerich announced that he will step down as head of Warner Brothers film studio. DeLuca, who worked with Emmerich back in the day at New Line, and Abdi will soon join the company, though in a reduced role. They will oversee Warner Brothers and New Line, but will not have control over Warner Brothers Animation and DC Films. But there might be more on the menu. DeLuca and Abdi have told people they expect to have input in what DC does in film and television. However, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav still hopes to find his answer to Kevin Feige, the guru who guided Marvel Studios to big screen dominance for rival Disney. Zaslav already approached Emma Watts, a veteran Fox and Paramount executive, about the job, but the talks collapsed. Insiders say that no announcement about a DC chief is imminent. As he navigates the film world, Zaslav has relied extensively on the insight of a constellation of industry players, such as former Disney chief Bob Iger and CAA head Brian Lord, polling them about his plans to reshape the studio. He is also in talks with former Disney film chief and Warner Brothers leader Alan Horn about becoming a consultant. The courtship of Watts means Walter Hamada, the current president of DC Films Production, has an uncertain future, even though he remains under contract until 2023. Zaslav believes that DC is an underutilized asset. He's frustrated that its cinematic output has been inconsistent and that there hasn't been sufficient long-term planning in terms of rolling out sequels and follow-ups to popular movies.
Let's go back to the Hamada thing there.
All right.
Because that's what we've been saying for a while is Hamada is on his way out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I love how it says he has an uncertain future, a.k.a. don't get too comfortable there, Walter.
What was the girl that always looked like she was strung out, but she was still there, but not there in the same way?
Amy Pascal.
Yeah.
But that's more, we'll get into that here in a minute. That has more to do with Toby Emmerich when we get to his bit. Okay. No, I think Walter's going to be out on his ass before he knows it here. But go ahead and continue if you want.
Supporters of Hamada believe the executive hasn't received enough credit. Under his leadership, the studio scored massive hits with Aquaman and The Batman, the latter earning the comic book label's best review since Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. They also note that DC has moved more aggressively into multi-platform storytelling, creating spin-off shows out of characters like Peacemaker and Penguin. Whoever takes over the division will face challenges, including the fate of including the fate of Superman. Henry Cavill, who played the part in Men of Steel and other films, is aging out of the role. What? And the studio has yet to finalize plans for the Superman film that was being developed with a script from acclaimed author Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Tiny Pee Coates.
Ugh.
All right, we're going to stop there because that's an important part too.
I think so.
All right. Now, a lot of this supports a lot of the reporting we've been doing about Hamada, everything else. Mm-hmm. Now we get to Henry Cavill, and we know that this is going to be a big deal going forward. They have to lock Henry in here soon, and they have to get some movies done before he does age out of this role, because let's face it, he's not getting any younger.
It's been 10 years.
Exactly. He's been the
and he hasn't been Superman in 6 years.
More than that.
because 2017. So he shot Justice League in
Yeah.
2016, reshoots in 2017.
Right, so it's been a while.
Holy crap. Man, time flies.
Yeah. Right.
Tom, you are so right. If they don't nail him down now and start getting some stuff going, in fact, I would say they need to nail him down in some scripts, and they need to film him all back to back in at least 2, if not 3 movies.
And the other part here is that Ta-Nehisi Coates' JJ Superman, it's done. It has yet to finalize plans.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He needs to go. Coates, I actually I was reading the Marvel books at the time. And yes, shame on me. I know. I'll admit it, but I'll admit it. But at least I know. So I have something to validate my argument off of. That guy, even with Black Panther, can't write a heroic character. He does not understand heroism one bit. You would
doesn't
think
believe in it.
No, he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't care about it one bit. People thought that Rian Johnson has an inverted mind. I'd say Ta-Nehisi Coates is a hold my beer and watch me go. That's Coates, seriously.
Right.
He's worse. He's so much worse. And just imagine if he did damage to Black Panther, just imagine what he will do to Superman. He's not even a comic book writer. Yeah, he never had any comic book history, credentials, nothing to show. But of course, people rolled with it, and
that's because we wouldn't get Superman; we get Super Black Man.
Yeah,
and he won't even do Superman.
He's kicking ass and taking names.
He won't do Superman or even one of the Earth 8 90 Superman, whatever that is, Val Zod, whatever. It's not Superman.
Yeah.
He's smacking pimps and laying hoes.
If they did it, they would call him Clark Kent, and he would still be black, though. If they did that, probably wouldn't be Val Zod.
They want the name.
No, it was totally going to be Clark Kent.
Yeah,
that was why Michael B. Jordan refused to work with them on that project, and he got his own project. Yeah.
Yeah, even he probably thought, quite frankly, it's a stupid idea.
Yeah, he wanted to do a Cal Zod story. He's like, "What is this shit?"
Yeah, which is more respectable. Like, even though there's still no point of a character like Val Zod, but at least Jordan understands what being a fan of comics is like. You gotta say, hey, come on, no, this is not how this character was historically depicted. This is why it drives me nuts when someone like, oh, well, race is not essential to that character. Well, yeah, it is, because it's how they are historically looked and depicted as. So in that regard, yes, it is essential.
You're going to get me in fucking trouble here, guys. Truth, justice, and no jive turkeys.
Pretty cool being old.
Hey, yeah, you're right, D-Bud Martin. That's basically Black Dynamite.
No, that's a good movie. Love Black Dynamite.
Hey, look who's here, Script Doctor.
Hey, right on
good
time
evening,
for
gentlemen.
this article.
Yo, who came in?
Script Doctor's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I was just got out
That's
of the
all right,
meeting.
man. Hopefully things are going well. I know we can't ask because you'd have to kill us, but thank you for being here.
Yeah. Oh, I'm reading here. Henry Cavill. I heard this morning that he's still in contention, but the clock's running out because I don't think they want him for a long. They want their Superman character for a long, familiar time, and unfortunately, Henry Cavill's pushing 40 right now.
Is
that all?
Hey, as long as he's looking young, I think that's
what I'm saying. Like, right? That's all. Oh, shit, he's got another good 10 years in him then. Easy.
Yeah. I mean, all they have to do is just allot some budget for his hairpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, now would be the time because I'm sure he's just finishing up Highlander because he was supposed to start shooting that in April. So I'm sure that's done by now. And when I don't know when Witcher next season that starts. You got to get him locked in here pretty soon, or you're not going to be able to anymore.
Yeah,
because he's going to sign on for something else, and then his year is going to be taken up. Because you can only really shoot script maybe 3-4 projects as an actor before your year kind of gets filled up.
Depending on the schedule and the complexity of it, I would say you're looking 2 to 3 a year is a good year.
Exactly. Even 4 is being kind of generous.
Yeah.
So,
Unless Cavill's doing another Zack Snyder Justice League thing, in which case he only needs to work on it for 2 days because Zack Snyder doesn't really put Superman in his
exactly.
He hasn't yet.
Are you planning on putting any Superman in your Superman movie, Zach?
Well, we got Henry Cavill
No.
for 8 minutes out of this 4-hour film.
No.
And his mustache is in it for 5.
Zack Snyder does it in much like Ta-Nehisi Coates. Zack Snyder doesn't know how to direct Superman. He knows how to direct Frank Miller and Alan Moore characters and say, "Hey guys, I'm a comic book fan." That's what he does.
Well,
Which is
he
funny
barely
because-
made the Watchmen. But
Which
anyway,
is
go ahead,
hysterical.
Scott.
When you say
Screwed up
Frank
a lot of
Miller-
Watchmen.
Well, all right. Well,
You
my
say
point
Frank Miller and
is,
Alan Moore, and then comic book fan. I'm like, no, that's a casual comic book fan. If those are the only
Thank
two
you,
fans he can bring
Script.
up.
no, but that's pretty much Zach in a nutshell. He talks about he's a comic book fan, but then he pretty much only looks to Miller and more stuff for reference,
Heavy metal.
design, whatever.
Heavy
And
metal
of course,
fan.
heavy metal too. Sure, we're
Heavy
going to
metal,
entertain that. But
Now that's what
the
Zack
point
Snyder
being
should
is-
make is a fucking heavy metal live action
That's
film.
what his favorite thing was.
There you
He
go.
even said up front back when he got that he didn't
Perfect for a
respect or like
12-year-old
Superman.
mind.
He didn't like Superman. He never did, but they gave it. Yet idiots gave him the gig anyway. Hack Snyder, and there you go. That's why we are where we are.
Just give
right
him
now.
the 5 best stories you can find from Heavy Metal Magazine and send him to town.
Yeah, I guess it would look interesting.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just
Visuals very
That's
well.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
You don't even just change them. Just say, here, take these stories, do them.
Here's the other part. You have to hire an assistant director who's going to be directing the actors because Snyder's not going to be talking to him much about performance.
That's what I'm saying. You think he's
Watch
really
the
going to
guy.
read a script, Klobby? I mean, he's like,
No.
You mean these got pictures?
All I know is he strung us on all those months before Watchmen was released, telling us telling the fans it's gonna be exactly what you want from the comic, and then boom.
I know you and I don't see eye to eye on Watchmen,
No, we don't.
but
wanted
that's
to
just
play
because of
one.
the ending. That's the
I'm a
thing.
Watchmen fanatic. I'll admit it, dude. I'm a purist with
Yeah.
the comic, and I want again. But the thing is, he lied. Though he was lying, said, "Oh yeah, Squid, all that stuff." They just don't lie about it. They just say, "Well, I can't say anything. Hope you guys like it." Boom. We've got Dave Gibbons on the set. Look at that. Hey.
Means
One of these
nothing.
days,
Sorry.
we have to do it. We'll have to do a Watchmen thing. I have to
Let
rewatch
us.
it. It's
We
been a
must.
few years.
I do love the movie's fun in the casting and some of the spectacle, but he did so many wrong things in that movie.
Oh, I can agree. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
there's issues I have with it. Don't get me wrong.
I would put
I
it
hear
to
you.
you this way: anytime a director has to tout that they have like an artist or a writer from a comic book that they're adapting onto the set, it pretty much shows that they don't
Yeah.
rely on themselves to properly deliver the
Right.
narration of the thing.
He was
If they
kissing
say
fan
like,
ass.
if they say something like, I don't think he's still alive, but if let's say in a perfect world, in say 1987, John Carpenter is doing a Batman movie. And John Carpenter goes on to the press tour like a week before it releases. He says, "Yeah, we were doing great." And all of a sudden, Len Wein came by and visited us, and he had a blast. And then he went off and did his way, and I kept on doing it. And it ended up being like a fantastic Batman film because John Carpenter makes great movies,
Right.
at least in that period. That would be the biggest boss move ever because he wouldn't have to reach out and say, "Oh yeah, we had to like." Because again, Snyder's had to reach out to Dave Gibbons to bring him down to the set for that one there. Like Dave didn't hear about it and then said, "Oh, I want to go see it." He
No,
kinda
it was Snyder.
said, "I'm not going to go anywhere near that." Is my understanding of it.
Right.
And then he was pleaded to visit down, and I'm like, yeah, that's a bad move.
He was kissing
But, yeah,
fan
I would-
ass, I'm trying to
Yeah.
curry favor.
Exactly.
And it worked for a while.
Well, let's get out of the Zack Snyder zone. Let's get back into the Emmerich thing because this is where I brought up Amy Pascal, and basically Emmerich is getting the Amy Pascal exit deal here. Please, Mike, indulge us.
Okie dokie. As for Emmerich, he's in a new position. As part of his exit package, he scored a production deal, but that means he will now be sitting on the other side of the table at pitch meetings. In many cases, the faces that will staring back at him will belong to his Friday lunch companions, DeLuca and Abdi.
Well, he's going to be hearing no a lot, especially out of those two.
Hey, how about this? Go fuck yourself, Toby.
Now, he didn't get a Pascal package in the same sense that Pascal has her clause in the
Hooks
Spider-Man.
deep into it, yes. But he's got this deal where we don't know, like you're right, we have no idea if he's got a certain number of movies they guarantee him or anything like that. So that part of it, yes.
I don't care about the number of movies. I want to know what characters he's
Exactly. I
associated
don't
with.
think there is. I don't think he's associated with anything. So
Because it's only, as far as I know, it's only Michael Uslan that has pretty much exclusive film rights to Batman under Warner
Yes.
Brothers.
That would be correct, sir. That dude scored big time when he got acquired those rights in the 70s.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to manipulate a way where he can sell them to me for dirt cheap.
There you go. So, all right, that's the basis of that one, right, Mikey? I don't think there's anything more on that one.
I think that's it.
That's it on this one. So, yeah, that's just kind of a little look inside of what's going on over at Warner Brothers. A little bit of a shakeup.
Now,
not surprising. Go ahead, Mike.
The question I have for Script is, Script, as an industry professional, when you see an article like this appear in a trade magazine, in a trade online such as Deadline like this, what do you conclude, sir?
I conclude that there's going to be a wider door for opportunities. Hopefully, it won't be a wider door for a specific group of people. The in-house already people. I think it's great that Emmerich is out. I think it's awesome that Zaslav is kind of, well, it's kind of interesting because I remember the announcement where Zaslav said he wanted DC films under one brand, one continuity and whatnot, and that completely changed. There's
Script, I think you're conflating somebody's rumors with an actual Zaslav talk. Because I'm trying to remember which article that was now, because I was trying to find it one day, because I'm like, that was that whole deal about DC that somebody had said they heard inside. But then Zaslav has come out and he said DC was important, but he didn't say all the other stuff that was in there. See, and we know now
he used the word umbrella.
Go find that, because somebody, because I'm trying to remember his actual statement on his, because he put out that statement after we had that other article, and I think we're conflating the two. In his original statement, I know he said that DC was important, but I don't think he said anything about...
I'm not talking about the memo. I'm talking about the one that came after that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't... I don't think those were his words.
I think that was under Puck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think those were his words. I think that was somebody saying what they had heard.
Yeah, I'm just looking through my archives here.
You could be right, though. And I know because you've brought this up a few times, too. But because I know today, because Todd Phillips posted his script for Joker 2, and I've been telling everybody that's the first thing that Zaslav greenlit. He's like...
Oh, most definitely. I think he
finished Joker 2.
Finished that a few weeks ago, then.
Yeah. And he posted that on Instagram or whatever it was today. So...
Oh, good.
Yeah, what did he call it? I even posted it on Facebook. Or Twitter. Joker Folie à Deux.
The second fall? Oh, no, wait, that Folie à Deux, that's...
Here we go.
Some sort of connection. Crap.
Dated May 18th.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago. Yeah. That's Madness for 2. There we go. That's what it is.
There you go.
That Joker, Madness for 2.
Ooh, is that setting up a Harley Quinn alternative?
No, that just might mean
or another Joker.
So crazy, he's got 2 times the level of madness.
Maybe.
I mean, it's kind of like a pun because it's a sequel and it's Madness for 2, so it's multiple personalities.
Yeah, Nikki, it technically was a long time ago, but I had been told that was one of the first things that before Zaslav was even technically in the office, that was the first thing he said, get Joker 2 going now, like yesterday. And that should be that'll be basically the first movie that comes out the door that's under his regime. So that's kind of where we'll know that in-between point is. Because we've still got like 5 other DC projects that are coming out between now and then. I mean, I guess you could kind of consider Blue Beetle the bridge. That's the bridge between the two, even though that was all conceived, pre-production, and all that stuff was set into motion before Zaslav. It's the first film now that they're working on under DC while Zaslav's in command. But see, that's the thing, and this is something Script and I have talked about several times over, and we brought up here on the show and other places, is that they really don't have any leadership right now over at DC outside of Hamada, and as they brought up earlier in the thing, they've been trying to find somebody to come in and take his place. Emma Watts was one of those people. Todd Phillips they had talked to about being creative director. Also heard in that same position they had talked to James Gunn. But he still clearly wants somebody in there in the lead role that's not a quote-unquote creative executive, but an actual Kevin Feige type. And that's where
But isn't
I'm
Kevin
curious.
Feige a creative executive now?
Well, and Kevin Feige was actually approached, I guess, as a possibility, but he had admitted that he had thought about it at one time. I don't know if this was previously or recently, but
Yeah,
so
like everything that's currently happening in DC now is technically the Hamada stuff.
it still technically is, yes.
Even to a degree, Joker 2. I mean, it still technically is because it was his when he greenlit the original one, and when Zaslav said get us Joker 2 or implied Joker 2, that's still under Hamada. I think once Hamada is replaced, and then they start, creating the proper infrastructure for a DC film studio, that's when you're actually going to see the tonal change in direction. So Blue Beetle might be might be a bridge, or might be just the last hurrah of that universe. In which case, I really hope that that if it is a good movie, they do for it what they did with Aquaman, which is basically kind of like keep a lot of the same cast but divorce it from the previous regime.
Yeah, and Blue Beetle looks like it's going to be more in the tone of like Shazam from just how things look, so it's going to be more lighter. So you're right, maybe Blue Beetle is going to be like the entrance to the bridge, Joker 2 is going to be the end of the bridge, but then after that is where we'll actually see things take over. But between now and then, we've got Batgirl, we got Flash, we've got more Peacemaker, I think, has got a second season coming, but I don't know if they've started on that yet. What else was there? There's a couple other Aquaman 2 and Black Adam, which I think just finished not too long ago. So, and of course, Wonder Woman 3 was already greenlit, so it's hard to say. And I've been hearing that that's one of the main reasons, even though the script is shit and it'll probably never happen, that Rogue Squadron movie keeps getting pushed. Is that supposedly
Rogue Squadron is not going to happen? They'll probably have the title Rogue Squadron eventually, but it's going to have no connection to Patty Jenkins or any of her original team by the time it does make it way. I guess Wonder Woman, if that has officially been greenlit, that might be the very last release under Walter Hamada then.
Well, remember they did say that they were fast tracking that, and that was what I had heard, was that if you remember at the time I'd said that I was kind of heard the rumor that
they were fast tracking that at end of December is when that was announced, right?
And it was because of 84 being so bad they wanted to wash the taste of that out of everybody's mouth with a different film. So like get another one going as soon as possible kind of thing. So they knew it was bad. But they could at least hide behind the COVID HBO Max business for that one. So they got to make sure this third one's good. So I'll be curious to see how much What's-Her-Face has to actually do with the third film yet. But that has yet to be seen. But all right, kiddies, let's move into some super chats and then we'll get to the Paramount news. Phyllis Mallory says, so what you're saying is that the lawsuit will end up the same as Tardigrades versus Star Trek. No, but maybe so. I think that one went a lot farther than this one will. I don't know how up to speed or what you heard about the Top Gun lawsuit, Script Doctor, because you're the only one who really hasn't had a chance to chime in on it yet. But we all had some varied opinions on what might happen with it, so I don't know if you have anything to add right now or if you're totally unaware of it, but I'll take that as a no. Or he's muted or he doesn't realize I'm one of the two.
I've already said my piece, so
it might be that way, but I think it's going to get tossed out or settled way before that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to get that far. Douglas Nelson is in the house. I just saw your new art. I might change that out for the thumbnail. Could Zaslav be reevaluating the J.J. Abrams deal? Finally, spell the fall of Bad Robot. It's the fall of Bad Robot within Warner's walls, because I had heard that they're trying to talk him way down because he hasn't delivered what they were hoping on, and he's negotiating for half from what I heard. So he hopes to walk away with a $250 million deal still when it's all said and done. And I think Warner is just trying to be like, yeah, no, I think we're good at this point. Or maybe they'll do it like on a case-by-case basis, because I have no idea how they're going to work this out. But there's no way that I can see that $500 million deal going through all the way. And again, I don't know if Script's awake or not to talk about that. But
I stepped away for some water.
That's
and
all
right. When I press enter on the chat, it did not go up. I think. Oh man, I'm wondering if Zaslav has that one person who's like, listen, we took a look at the numbers when it comes to J.J. Abrams and the franchises he's done. Now, excluding the Star Wars, which we think is a stronger brand than Star Trek, he's kind of a net gain. And they just sound like we should just dump him.
That's kind of what I heard they want to do at this point. Just call it a wash and go their separate ways. I mean, they do have some relationships. There's still some shows and stuff that JJ oversees there, but he's only delivered, I think, like 2 or 3 shows since the deal. And they've mostly been like animated programs that still haven't even aired, like that Batman one. And there's that other one he's working on. Yeah, there's another show
another year away, I think.
Exactly. Like, so that's why I think they're getting a little pissy with him. But as far as that goes, yeah, as far as the Fall of Bad Robot, no. JJ's over there sweet talking him over at Paramount. We're going to get into that here in a minute. But let's move along here before we do. Nikki D says, wait, so WB's not interested in Cavill for Supes? I think they are. But I think they realize that they're kind of in a conundrum here where they want to get somebody signed on for probably, a 5-picture deal or something like that. And that's a 10-year at least or more commitment. And they're probably looking at the fact that Cavill is getting a little older and he does have other obligations. And that means his availability will be, there'll be windows of availability and they'll have to fill in those windows if they can. Otherwise, they're just going to have to
They'll have to recast, yeah. I mean, he was 29 when he was cast originally, and it's been a little over 10 years since he first shot the film, and he's really only played Superman technically in three movies. Over that 10 years, which is really short because, like, even Christian Bale played Batman 3 times within 8.
That's true.
Yeah.
And they were, I would suspect that when they signed Henry and they thought they were launching this series, they were expecting Henry Cavill to at least be 6 films.
Right.
And they got halfway there by the skin of their teeth, pretty much.
Christopher Reeve did 4 inside of 9 years. So.
Yeah. And we got one barely, if you want to call it a Superman movie, just a movie that was Henry Cavill maybe playing the character. We never got an actual Superman movie.
It was not even Superman in it. So.
No.
Yeah, because Christopher Reeve started when he was, 24, 25?
He was somewhere up in there, but yeah, he got inside of 9 years, 4 films released.
Because he was ready to do Superman 5, and he wasn't even 40 years old yet.
Yeah, he was pretty young because he was only because he was only like 40. I think he was only like 42 when he got paralyzed. I think
he could have done. Another
he died at the age of 52.
Yeah,
right. So he could have done another one. I mean,
so maybe
he was a little younger yet, but
plausibly,
right.
And because I remember seeing on YouTube one of his last convention appearances, and he spoke about how he got the pitch for Superman 5 and said that he would do it in a heartbeat if the script met the same level as the pitch. And then a few months later, he had his accident. And
maybe he was in his late 30s. I'm trying to remember. I know he died in 2000 and maybe he was in his 40s because he got paralyzed. Wasn't it in 90? Was it 94, 5, or 6? One of those 3.
4.
And then he died in 2006, wasn't it?
Was it 6 or was it 4? Somewhere up in there.
Somewhere in that region between 2. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's where my muddy area with. Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So somewhere in that region, but you're right there. But no, I agree. Like Cavill can play the part probably for another 10 years. But I think this goes more in line with what we're hearing from Mikey Sutton, and that's why I'm curious, Script Doctor, why I'm not calling you out, but I would really like to get specifically where we're getting this information from, because what we just read kind of goes a little bit more along with what Mikey's saying, and that is having Zack Snyder run the Black Label universe on HBO Max. You have your TV, we'll call it the CW universe for the lighter-hearted DC stuff. And then that almost sounds like he's separating the Snyderverse to be delegated to television, which means they may be looking at casting Superman for a new live action going forward, more streamlined DC universe on film. I have no idea where this is going because I'm going off of multiple reports here.
The one that I can think of very detailed by Mikey Sutton, and this was before Zaslav took over, is when Mikey reported that they're talking about pocket universes.
And that would fit with the Black Label thing, and that's another thing that was consistent with Mikey constantly saying Snyder's in talks, Snyder's in talks, Snyder's in talks.
Well, technically his wife's in talks, but yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I mean? They're still like not closing the door on Snyder. And again, Zaslav is one of the few guys in Hollywood where I would believe that he would, you know, go, okay, let's explore this a little bit because there is a fan base here.
Well, the Pocket Universe stuff was coming under the old regime of DC before Zaslav came in. One of the things that I can remember, and I'm trying to find so many Geekosity articles, and I'm trying to find is that when Zaslav came in, he was basically one of the first announcements was to get rid of the Pocket Universe idea, but that doesn't necessarily mean to get rid of the other IPs. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still skimming through them. There's lots here.
No, I understand. I just want to make sure we have it all straight too. Mega Wing Zero.
Yeah, it's a mess at Warner Brothers trying to sort everything out.
Mega Wing Zero says, I would have Zack Snyder for the short term and finish his story, but have someone prepared for a relaunch for DC Universe. They should get someone who is a super fan of DC and has a roadmap forward. I agree with most of what you're saying here.
What generation of DC are they a super fan of?
That's the thing, yeah. Because a super fan of what?
Here's the
my
thing.
question.
Zack Snyder changed his story on what he wanted to do as he was going along. So I don't think he even knows his own story. Because I remember when BVS was, it's a sequel to Man of Steel, and then it became he said, Batman's not gonna overtake the movie. Then Batman overtook it, and now it was not a Man of Steel sequel. It just happens to be a DC Universe movie, and then all of a sudden, we brought Batman in to the movies because Man of Steel didn't meet expectations, and then he goes on an interview saying, it was a plan all along. Zack Snyder is not consistent in anything he says. What is his story? I don't think I think his story is just whatever comes up at the time. I've seen him speak.
You've seen his interviews where the interviewer is actually like directing him on what he has to say because he doesn't know how to form a thought. Like the famous one is the Kevin Smith one, where Zack Snyder's like, well, I wanted to make, and then I had to do this. And so what we ended up doing is making it honest and real. And then, Zod, he just goes off on all these sub-tangents, and it has nothing to do with anything of being asked. Is like, why are people upset with your film?
Well, he's an airhead. He doesn't understand the characters. He doesn't understand the stories. He's a moron like David Goyer.
Yeah, David Goyer. Yeah, those guys just think that Batman, Superman are the only DC characters, but they want to make Superman like Batman. And as I said earlier, they read Frank Miller and Alan Moore stories, and they're like, every comic book must be like this, because they obviously that it clearly shows these guys don't know anything about a new
I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck David Goyer got where he got. And I know we've had this conversation 20 fucking times over. I know. But even I think it's more Nolan.
I think Dark City got him on the attention of Nolan.
Maybe
6 or 7 years
that could
later.
be.
Because he almost killed his career with Blade, the directing wise.
Trinity, yeah.
And then on top of that, here's one of the biggest troubles I think the studios have with understanding DC Comics is that they're trying to find what is the brand of DC Comics, and they're looking only at the most successful titles as opposed to what's the overall thing of it. And I would say that the brand of DC Comics is fantasy adventure, and that has its subgenres. But it's overall fantasy adventure. That's the through line between it. Marvel is clearly not so much fantasy adventure, but fantasy soap opera. Because it's all more about the main characters than it is about the balance between the characters and the villain. I think that's why Infinity War was so well revered, is because we finally got more of a bad guy's perspective on things in one of these Marvel films than we ever had before to that point. And with characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Vixen, all those people, they all have this fantastical element of it, but it's all fueled by like a sense of adventure and also with peril as a result of that adventure, more so on like the larger characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Batman. But it doesn't mean that because Batman is successful as a dark detective mystery, it doesn't mean you can apply the dark detective mystery to all the other characters. What you have to say is like, well, what's fueling the dark detective mystery? Well, it's this call to adventure, the climax of what is going to be towards the resolution of that story where Batman is in that big fight for his life and for, you know, the city of Gotham, that is kind of the essence of what it is. You're there for that moment, and that moment of that brings a smile to your face, a cheer, a sense of excitement is something that you can apply to all the other characters, but it has to be reflective of their each individual tone. And that's where I think the fantasy adventure is the brand of it. If they try to keep what they did with the Man of Steel and under Jeff Johns and later Walter Hamada, that was all just the brand of dark grit reality, and it's like that's not DC at all. They're fantasy. They have multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths. They've got Green Lantern Corps, the Manhunters, Martian Manhunter, lots of alien species. Do they also have ROM? Is ROM still DC, or is ROM independent again?
I think
ROM,
that was
Space Knight.
Yeah, Space Knight.
IDW took it up.
I was going to say, I think they had to
IDW
excise it. Yeah.
But the Parker Brothers owns it, but if there's such thing as Parker Brothers anymore.
Yes, Bryant Barth, Warner was jealous of the Joker because they didn't have as much involvement as they could have. So they didn't make as much money off it as they could have. But this, you better believe this second film, they're going to make sure they do. But yeah, let's get in.
I think there's a strategic mistake being made, because what's happening is that if that's the direction they want to go in, they're misunderstanding something about the DC universe. And let's take Joker. They say, well, look at this. We went dark, we went rated R, we went hardcore, and it did great on a low budget. We need more of that. Wrong. The Joker is a very unique villain within the entire DC universe. I'm not going to go into it, but anybody who's a DC fan knows that he's got different versions. You can do things with him. You can do a movie like that with him. I wasn't the biggest fan. I enjoyed the movie, but that's not really DC. What I'm afraid is Zaslav's going to listen to the wrong person, give the wrong advice, and they're going to put out the wrong movies and not going to get anywhere near the success that they need to for these heroes. If they give us a hero or a group of heroes that we all can get around.
By the way, ROM was with Marvel Comics in the 80s, but now
that's what I was thinking.
IDW has it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember they had to excise any existence of.
Yeah, they can't reprint any more of the Marvel ones now because
so they changed them out.
IDW took it up a couple of years back.
Let's get into this now. Paramount chief Brian Robbins on the blockbuster success of Top Gun Maverick and getting close to the starting line with Star Trek. I think it's very interesting that is in the headline.
Basically means that J.J. Abrams has been calling him and knocking on his door 20 years.
Yeah, well, I heard that they got the money from Warren Buffett and the Kino Lorber deal. This is another reason why J.J. has been receptive, I guess, to the whole reducing the deal with Warner Brothers, because he's trying to butter his way back into Star Trek again. And, of course, now he's got to deal with his buddy Kurtzman because they're both involved because of the whole...
Because of the merger
deal and everything's involved underneath those two. So yeah, well, let's see what he has to say about this business. Michael Miller says JJ is not getting Trek. It's another funding pitch. It may be Michael Miller, but I've heard there's a lot more movement on it than you'd think. Paramount has been on a sizzling run. All 5 of its 2022 releases a crop that includes Scream, Jackass Forever, The Lost City, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. A little bit on Scream. They actually lost Neve Campbell. She's not going to be in part 6 because they don't want to pay her.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to pay her what she thinks she owes.
What she wants. Yeah. Which
that's
do
tricky.
We know how much
she's not an A-list actress anymore, and how long of the gap was there between the Scream 4 and Scream 5?
You would argue she ever was an A-list actress?
She was
on
a
TV,
Scream
she was
actress.
Fairly popular, but I would doubt A-list. Yeah,
I would say outside of the Scream films, I don't think she's had many successes.
It just blows me away. Like, no one expected this thing to get revived. The franchise gets revived. She's older, not an A-list, was never an A-list, was barely a B-list. I mean, the movie industry is just coming back. How can you not get a deal done unless you just completely lack any self-awareness?
She may not need it either. She may have put away plenty of money. She may have a family now and not really that worried about Hollywood. It's not like she's done a shit ton of acting lately. She didn't need to be in the last one, to be honest with you. Story-wise, she has 101 reasons not to be there, and not one single reason to be there. I'm not looking forward to the sequel because I fucking hated the last one. So
that last one was terrible.
It was
so bad. Now here's the thing. Like, okay, let's just put our opinions outside of the
Yeah.
scream. Like, do we even know how much she was asking for? Let's just be like, was she asking for a like outrageous amount, maybe, or was she asking for a reasonable amount, and that reasonable amount still wasn't good enough? Like, it seems like there's no numbers.
That's the thing. I got to see if she's asking for like 1 or 2 million. They'd probably give it to her. But if she's asking for any more than that, they're probably like, go fuck yourself. Because it's Scream.
Yeah, I get
it's not like it's fucking Top Gun Maverick or something.
No.
Yeah, but she's been acting pretty steadily in television and smaller productions.
So she might not necessarily need it. That's the thing. I mean,
yeah,
maybe
she was on the Lincoln Lawyer. She's working on the Twisted Metal TV series at the moment.
Then again, you're right. Maybe her agents overplayed their hand. But at that point, for them to report it like that, that means one or both parties walked away from the table.
Yep.
So they met an impasse, and I can't believe they wouldn't have negotiated until they couldn't negotiate anymore, considering who she is.
I mean, I think you guys on the panel are right, and I think the people in the chat are right. I think she's got other stuff going on, and I didn't even think about that. Tom, you're right. She might not be financially strapped. I did not think of that.
Well, you got to also remember she came up in a time where teenage and young actors kind of knew how the industry was, and maybe if she was smart, she had a financial advisor who talked her into putting some money away and stuff like that, to where, yeah, she may have saved some of her Scream money. She may have saved some of her Party of Five money.
Well, I mean, I think she only made around like 10 million across the first 4 Scream films.
Could be. I think she made pretty good on the 3rd and 4th one, but you could be right.
Yeah. Third and fourth one, I know she definitely got more than 3 million.
I think she got 2 for the 3rd one, and then I think for part 4, I think she might have got somewhere between 2 and 4. I can't remember what it was.
No, I think she got over 3 for Scream 3. I remember that because that was a big one.
Yeah.
Scream 4, she probably got maybe the same plus an extra 20%. So I would say let's say speculatively she did 4 million for Scream 3, then she probably got 5 and change.
Yeah.
For Scream 4, right. And then I bet she would probably ask like 6 or 7 for the Scream 6 or whatever the heck the next.
My guess is she's probably asking more for something like 10, and they're willing to give her like 5. And
10, I think, would be too much for her, but yeah. But if she
the
asked
last
like
one was
6
a
or
hit.
7, if she asked for like 6 or 7, I would be.
See, that's where I can see Paramount buckling a little bit, because the last one was a big enough hit that I would be like, I'll just fucking give it to her. Just don't give her any back end points. Right?
I don't know if she ever got any back end points.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would just make sure. Maybe she did on this last one. Who knows? I mean, this last one did okay, but it's also it's a franchise in its decline. I mean, it's the last 3 films have all done less than the second film, from my recollection. Especially if you go by inflation, and this newest one, I don't even think made just barely over $200 million. I think it was. So, anyway, but it didn't cost nothing to make. That's the thing. So that's the other thing. If she wants a buttload of money, that's a big part of the production budget. Because I think this newest one only cost like $30 million to make, or 35 or something like that. Maybe a little bit more.
The latest Scream, they estimate like 24 to 30 is what they.
I was gonna say, I know it was really low budget, so. That could be the point, is they're trying to keep it low budget, and giving her a big payday is not going to do that. But anyway, all of its 5 releases in 2022, including Jackass Forever, Scream, Lost City, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, opened in first place at the domestic box office, with Top Gun Maverick outpacing them all. The sequel to the beloved Tom Cruise film has scored with critics and audiences alike. Top Gun, I always keep wanting to call it Tom Cruise Maverick. Has currently grossed a massive $557 million globally and shows few signs of slowing down. Brian Robbins, who took over as head of film studio in September, says its recent track record reaffirms the value of releasing blockbuster movies in theaters before debuting them on streaming or home entertainment. And he argues that the box office performance is partially due to partly due to a new approach that has seen the studio become more collaborative with corporate cousins such as CBS, MTV, and Nickelodeon. Now, it's going to go into an interview part of this article, so I'm going to try and get through this as quick as possible, but we can probably go through bit by bit. Mixed first reactions? That's not what I heard. So I agree with some of the things he says here. Some of these things I think are pretty dumb, but we'll see here. Why was Top Gun Maverick successful? I'd be lying if I said we knew that Top Gun was going to open to $160 million and break all the records that it did, going back to our first story of the night. There was a lot of pent-up nostalgia for this movie, but our team was also able to do what a lot of people didn't think we'd be able to do, which was bring the under 35 audience into the movie. How did you attract the younger moviegoers, they ask, many of whom weren't even born when the original opened? We had a tremendous digital campaign that excited younger audiences, and we had a young cast led by Miles Teller. With all 5 films that we've opened this year, we've unlocked the power of the whole company. By what I mean, all of Paramount's assets, whether that's CBS Sports, where the AFC Championship game opened with a 2-minute piece on Top Gun, or what we were able to do with our MTV networks around the world in promoting Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand song from the film. Our marketing team, led by Mark Weinstock, did a great job, but it all comes down to the filmmakers, our directors Joseph Kaczynski, our producer Jerry Bruckheimer, and of course Tom. You have a movie that is in rarefied air when it comes to both reviews from critics and audiences' reactions. This year's slate of films was made before you took over the studio. Variety points out, what are the kind of films that you are interested in producing, they ask. I'm so grateful to my predecessors like Jim Giannopoulos and former Motion Picture Group President Wyatt Godfrey and former production president Elizabeth Raposo. These guys clearly delivered, but production co-president Daria Sirsik and Michael Ireland brought these things home, so it's a real team effort. Going forward, I'm focused on our franchises. We are fortunate in that we have amazing franchises. Yes, you do. Which we need to lean into. Yes, you should. We have adult franchises, and this is where I'm just like, on some of these. Adult franchises like Mission Impossible, Quiet Place, Transformers, okay, and Star Trek. And we have family franchises like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and SpongeBob. You've got to have multi-year plans for these franchises. You can't just make a movie, see how it does, and then decide to make another one, because if you do that, it will be years between sequels like Sonic. We're going to make a spin-off character, Knuckles, do a mini-series on Paramount Plus, which will transition us into the 3rd Sonic movie with lots of Easter eggs. That planning is what I'm focused on, as well as filling out the slate with filmmakers that we're passionate about, who want to tell stories that they have passion for. Now, here's another big section here. That allows us to greenlight things like the new South Park we have from new movie we have from Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the South Park guys, who are working on a movie with Kendrick Lamar that's far out. It could break through the zeitgeist. This is big news because Trey and Matt said they were not going to do another movie until the show was over. And this is why they hadn't done a film of Book of Mormon yet either. So this is almost like an announcement here, because we did not know they were going to be making a new movie. So I'm curious what it could be. But now that we got through this first main part here, when they talk about Star Trek and the other franchises, how do you guys feel about this so far? What do you think about Robin's take here on how Paramount is being utilized? Let's start with you, Mikey, and then we'll go down the road.
Well, I guess my initial reaction is that while it's true that look, it's a good sign that they're taking inventory of a variety of what we would call fandom franchises that are assets. The problem with this studio is that it's horrifically managed, and their ability to execute on these things makes me feel that this is just air and words, because they make the wrong decisions. Sure, you have something like, Paramount, you have a couple of things that do well, but you really, the decision making at this studio has been suspect for so long, and their ability to manage things has been so horrifically well documented. I don't know. And I'll tell you this much: if they don't get while movies like Top Gun Maverick might be very successful, this is a studio that needs a complete and total management overhaul if it's going to really get anywhere and endure.
Nick?
I'm going to say I agree with Mike. It's a whole bunch of air. I mean, I don't really feel like they're saying much of anything really relevant here. I don't really feel like there's much to really take away from this, really. So,
Bobby?
yeah.
Yeah, I just think of the same what has been said here. It's a lot of talk, a lot of lip service, because they have to. I mean, they have to talk about things they're going to be doing. They have to put things out there to make shuffle the pencils around on the desk to make it look like they're doing something. They always talk about kind of stuff. And isn't it look? Everything is a sequel or everything is connected. Not one thing in this list looks like it's based on something new or original. It's all redos and sequels and all that other kind of stuff. And I don't think much of it's going to fly, but big plans, big talk. That's what they're all, at least, this particular bunch has always been about. So
Script.
This is, sorry, there we go. This is kind of just a talking piece. It's not really anything going on. It just, I mean, the closest you're getting is that South Park news.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else really going on. So yeah, this is just kind of we need a 5,000 word article, keep us in the conversation, imply that we're actually doing something. Let's talk about our successes. I will say this though, like I've been saying this for a couple of years. Paramount has got a lot of potential to be a real contender again in the industry. The only thing stopping it is its management.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then, because I agree with you guys. I mean, I kind of already put my 2 cents in there. What is the importance of releasing these movies in theaters? We know movies that are released with big theatrical marketing campaign have a much greater impact when they hit streaming than movies that go straight to streaming without a theatrical release. Before the company,
right?
Before a company like ours had our own streaming service, we would take our IP, make these movies, and then basically rent them on other platforms, which help them build their service. We're not doing that anymore. We're taking our IP and using it to build our own service, Paramount Plus. That is a better business model. I
don't agree. I disagree. I actually, not only do I disagree, I reject that statement.
See, and actually, I think it was. Go ahead. Sorry, Nick.
No, this whole thing of, I mean, I get the idea why they want to compete, but the problem is not everyone needs to have a streaming service, because when everyone has a streaming service, a lot of people are right where they left off, basically having cable again, but with the internet involved. I don't have every streaming service, so I'm good. I spend around $50-$60 a month. I'm not one of those people who has to have all that. If I sign up to one, I'll watch it for a show, and then I'm out. I make sure I'm on top of it and I get the hell out. And I have my 5 or 6 that I'm setting, and I'm like, okay, this is what I keep, and that's it. A lot of people are in this, like, I guess fear of missing out, where they feel like they have to hold on to them because there's something else come out. So they're taking advantage of consumers the way cable is, but with streaming now. And it's not a better business model, because we're seeing a lot of the effects play out, in the negative light with streaming. Yes, Netflix is having a temporary moment under some with Stranger Things, but just give it a few more months after part 2, we're going to be right where we left off with Netflix again.
Well, please correct me if I can't remember correctly, Script Doctor, but I believe it was Emma Watts, when she was part of Paramount, had said that they were going to diversify their output. They weren't going to put everything on HBO or Jesus Christ, Paramount Plus. They were going to still sell out some of their stuff to other places. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction to how they dealt with Yellowstone, and how they kind of lost out on that. I could be wrong, but I disagree with the idea with this. Yeah, I think you have to diversify it a little bit, because if you don't sell some of your shit off to other companies, you're not going to make money on everything. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say Yellowstone. That right there is a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier in terms of studio mismanagement.
Too, right?
I mean, that right there is something that they completely mismanaged, and
in fact, they should be doing the opposite of what they're doing. All their TV properties should be going directly to Paramount Plus. That way there's no, because people don't realize you got to go to HBO Max to watch the last season of South Park, and then all the specials are on Paramount Plus. And if you haven't seen the last season of South Park, you're lost watching that new special.
See,
and
and
they
that's
even make jokes about that in this new special.
and that's the kind of thing that happens when you have bad management, when they're unable, as Script was saying earlier, when they're unable to intelligently execute from a business perspective on the property, the creative properties they've got. They're gonna have missteps because they're gonna say, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's put it out here this way and get this licensing cash now,
Right.
because we're gonna go over here and we're gonna greenlight this other pet project that's gonna sink and burn and die and maybe never see the light of day. You know,
Yeah.
they need strategic leadership of
They
people
do.
who are competent in the industry and know how to execute, and they have to have enough confidence and track record in their own execution to hold on to these things so that they can create value, because the value creates, in any business, value creates stability leads a foundation then enables you to grow and go somewhere. And this Paramount has been nothing more than a table with some wobbly legs for so long now.
And it's probably been wobbly legs because they probably added a bunch of fake job hirees that are contributed absolutely nothing to these companies. We're like, oh, but we had to hire these people because buzzwords. So now they're seeing what happens when you don't have people who actually focus on their job and need to do things. So and this is where they deserve to hurt a little because of that.
That's a problem, but there's a real simple solution to this, and this is what I was saying. Keep all of your television properties all on Paramount Plus. Let's say if you're Paramount, like, don't matter what it is, make sure all your TV stuff goes to there right away when it's done and over with. Make sure your contracts are set up that way. Your movies, on the other hand, pick one or two of your tentpole movies of the year that you know are almost guaranteed to make some money. Make those Paramount Plus exclusives, but sell the fucking rights to everything else off so you can make sure you cover your back end, because otherwise this is where these studios are going to run into problems. And Sony has been smart. This is how they've been playing this. They don't have a Paramount Plus. So they've been playing Netflix and some of these other streaming services and not playing them, but they've been making sure they're getting paid. Right? They taking money out of their own pocket, making a streaming service. You were going to say something, Clobby, it looked like, or?
No.
Well,
Okay.
no, I'm glad you mentioned that, Tom, because and believe it or not, Spider-Man No Way Home is still in theaters. Sure, it's only making like $1,000 on a weekend, but it's still in
Is it
theaters
really?
and
Wow.
it's still making money.
Yeah,
I looked
and
at
Sony
Box
made a
Office
deal
Mojo.
already with Netflix prior to the whole Disney Plus thing, so
Isn't No
They're
Way
playing-
Home's current theatrical run still making more than Morbius's re-release?
I think so.
What? Wait a minute, Morbius got re-released.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
some stupidity last weekend over memes.
They wanted to capitalize on the MEAD, so they made like $100,000 more. But regardless, I mean, Morbius neither here nor there. Like Sony is trying, they're playing the long game with their movies as they should. They want to actually make money, so that's a good sign of a company
Well, I
that
don't know
actually
if-
feels like their priorities are more so in the right direction.
I don't know if
than
Script heard my plan, but if somebody at Paramount's listening or not, but if you agree with it or not, Script, but my basic plan was they should take, all these studios should take all their television stuff. If you've got a proprietary service, make that stuff on your proprietary service. Sell all your movies off except for one or two tent poles of the year. That's it. Because then that way they can make up their back end.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do that, but what you end up really doing in the end is just kind of exchanging money. Because again, if every studio does that, it's basically Paramount's going to sell their B and C movies to Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is going to sell their B and C movies to Paramount, to the point where they're not really making any really additional money unless unless one manages to out negotiate the other.
Well, that's a good point, because
It's causing
HBO,
the customers to have to subscribe to every service so that they can see the movies that they want to see as soon as they drop on streaming. It's like, oh, I got Paramount Plus, but this movie I really like that came out from Paramount is going to be on HBO Max. So now I got to get HBO Max, and while Paramount gets money for that, the same could happen to the reverse. And if Disney ends up doing that, which they never would, you have
Right.
that issue as well. So yeah, it gets into complications right there. I think it would be better I think the better model is television should definitely have a default streaming on the main distributor's streaming platform.
that's what I'm saying,
And
yes.
for films, don't even release when it's going to hit streaming.
That's a great idea too, but that's kind of what I'm saying, because I was using Sony as the model, right? They don't have a streaming service. So they sell everything off.
They
But
used to, but they don't anymore.
Yeah. But now, like Paramount, let's say, okay, you could do the HBO option, which would be Warner, selling it to Warner Brothers. See, HBO used to be a little bit more separate from there, to where that's where you kind of got the deals, was your secondary cable deals, or your primary, whatever you want to call it, your first
They're
run cable
window
deals.
They're
You know,
window.
and that's kind of what I'm saying, is they kind of got to go back to that model and sell it to Netflix or Amazon for a window, to where it's not a studio per se, but it's a company like that to where they're bringing money in and they need to go with that kind of a model. That was what I was kind of proposing. And if anything, fucking Paramount Plus can go bye-bye outside of, that's what I'm saying. They should just keep their television shows on there and that's it. As far as like, we know they're going to go there, but like you said, like the night after they air or whatever contract they can work out, that's where they lost out on some of their shit, like Yellowstone is what I was saying. But let's move on with this because there's a little bit more to it. What should be the new window of theatrical exclusivity? This is where he confirms what I heard about Top Gun not coming in 45 days, but we all knew that already. We're still in the experimental stage coming out of the pandemic right now. 45 days feels good. Top Gun is an outlier, so it won't have that window because the deals were made years ago and that film has been sitting on the shelf. He's kind of...
That's going to go into evidence.
Yeah.
Experimental stage. Stop lying with this crap. People will want to see movies or they won't. And people want to see something that looks like, hey, I might like this. Look at No Way Home. Now look at Top Gun. Sure, there's going to always be a crowd of people who will probably never go back to the theater again. There's always going to be that demographic. I won't deny it. But come on, when you're telling me a movie did almost $2 billion without China, and now you have Top Gun Maverick that's going to at least hit 800, maybe 900 without China or Russia, and you're just telling me about the experimental.
It could hit $1 billion if Jurassic World really sucks.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not betting on it, but regardless, and if it does, obviously great. But the point is like people want to see movies, and they're willing to. Like where I saw Top Gun Maverick for my second time on Saturday night, I was in a town where I live. Our theater was right next to a food truck like convention type of thing, and that food truck convention was packed. So it makes you think, okay, is everyone at this thing and skipping the movie? When we went into the theater room, it was still packed on Saturday night at 9:00. People are either going back for seconds or their word of mouth is getting around or a little bit of both. Regardless, people will want to see something if it looks good. And it's not divisive, of course.
Well, let's move along here. How many films do you guys plan on releasing in cinemas? 10 to 12, which is pretty close to what they're doing now. A few less than probably normal, but there's a lot of turmoil across the media landscape, from Netflix stock slide to mergers at places like Warner Brothers Discovery. How does that impact your business? There's been a lot of noise, but I just focus on Paramount and what we can do to improve the culture at the studio. My predecessors delivered some great films that I've been privileged to be the beneficiary of. But getting our culture right and knowing that it's the people that ultimately ensure the success of our movies, that's what we're focused on. We want to keep leaning into exploiting and using the assets of the whole company. For a long time, there was a moat around the studio, and he basically says the same fucking shit he says in the opening bit. We're going to go past that one. Now let's get to this one here. Where do things stand with the next Star Trek sequel, and why did you decide to bring back Chris Pine? We're deep into it with J.J. Abrams, and it feels like we're getting close to the starting line and excited about where we're going creatively. I'm a research nerd, and what the data tells me is that the audience wants this cast in the movie. Maybe you should go back to head of the class.
Dude, seriously? Oh, God.
Research nerd.
Rip, how do people in your industry answer things like this?
Because wasn't this the guy that was in head of the class or whatever?
Wait, what'd you say, Script?
Oh, it's usually a publicist writing it for them, which may very well also be a hire or an accolade of certain J.J. Abrams.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll see on that. Seth Rogen is producing a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's the plan for rebooting the series? It's animated and goes back to the roots of the Turtles. Seth and his producing partner, Evan Goldberg, were brilliant choices because... Sorry, I had to choke back some fucking puke. No one can tell stories about being teenagers better than 40-year-olds, evidently. They're passionate and super nerdy about the Turtles. We'll see. It's going to work for kids, parents, Gen Zers, and millennials. We'll see. We have plans to do multiple animated movies this way, but one day we might go back to a hybrid live-action version of the Turtles. Boom! That's a big deal here.
That is.
Because him saying this tells me that the Colin Yost TMNT live-action film is DOA.
As it should be. As it.
For those who may not remember the latest
Turtles.
Well, that's what it was supposed to be. They were going to be doing a live action one, and that one was announced back in August of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me they did not like the take. What do you think, Script? Does that sound like it to you?
I think when he found out how much time it would require of him, and he couldn't dedicate it to Saturday Night Live and taking care of Scarlett Johansson's kid, he probably had to back out.
You're probably right. But yeah, does that sound like to you that version's probably dead with him saying this?
I would say, well, listen, nothing ever really stays dead in Hollywood, but I would say it's gone quiet, and it's probably going to be that way for a very long time.
Considering it was just announced back in August, that says a lot. So, like, a little less than a year, that's enough time to where they would have delivered probably a script and a pitch or whatever, and yeah. And you could be right on the other side, too. Maybe he turned it down. Recently announced plans
raising someone else's kid is a full-time job.
It is, I know. Tell me about it. I got to deal with
stopping and slowing down on work-wise, so someone has to be taking care of that kid.
If it wasn't for the fact that Mama Sita thanks me every day for raising Mikey, then I know exactly what you mean, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still like a little kid inside, and Tom takes care of me.
She's like, so thank you for taking care of Mikey. You're such a good boy, she says. It's almost verbatim what she said.
Yep.
You recently announced plans to adapt Tomi Adame, I can't even say her name, Adiyami's, whatever, Children of the Blood and Bone books. What's the latest on that project? Tomi is an incredible writer. It's an epic story, blah, 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 blah. The only reason this is fucking important is because this is the one that got taken away from his KK by J-Pac. And then the last question, of course, is the answer that I've been telling everybody. Is there going to be a third Top Gun? He goes, let's see where we are in 35 years from now. So, yeah, this is obviously a little bit of a puff piece. And Michael Mill, you're not wrong. It's probably a bit of a promotional stunt of sorts. But they did get some money recently. So I have heard there has been some actual movement. And I believe that since JJ's seeing his Warner Brother deal go, he's over there trying to push this Star Trek deal through.
Well,
so we'll see how that rolls.
Money, it's basically a pot of gold right now, and whoever can find the end of the rainbow first is going to get it. And that's basically, I think, the attitude that Paramount is having at this point. It's like, yeah, we've got these properties. Sure, there's Star Trek, but this money has to be used to make more money. And there's 3 movies of JJ's at Paramount I can point to under that one brand that did not make the money they needed to.
But
and that's the other part too. We see in Bad Robot and we see in Secret Hideout, they're getting millions upon millions of dollars for single episodes or feature film, and you cannot see every single cent of that budget on screen. In fact, there's a great deal of it missing from the screen.
Now, did nobody catch my head of the class joke that whole time?
Who's seen Head of the Class in the last 30 years?
I don't care, but he was on Head of the Class.
He was?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, boss.
Oh, man.
I find it absolutely hilarious that...
Not only was he on Head of the Class, he was the sexy guy on Head of the Class. Remember?
Never saw it.
Oh, come on. Nobody watched Head of the Class? Seriously?
No.
I'm old, dude. I never saw that show.
That's why I don't know what you're talking about.
He was like the Vinnie Barbarino ripoff.
No.
No.
Gotcha. What? Where?
Oh, my
Where?
God.
Oh, my God.
Robbins? What's his name?
Brian Robbins.
Oh, Brian Robbins. That's
I thought
terrible
you'd at
thing.
least get the joke. The script. I thought you were the
Head of
only
the
one who's going to
Class?
get it.
That's before me.
I know. Wow. All right, cool.
And I watch a lot of old television.
I know. That's why I thought maybe you'd get it at least. But
Damn. All of us here, none of us got it. That's bad.
Where's Culture when I fucking
One
need
of
him?
us. Yeah, he probably. It just that joke just went around up. It weaved through all of our timelines. It didn't quite hit any of us have seen it.
That's why I said it like 3 times. I'm like, yeah, he needs to go back to the head of the class. Back to the head of the class. Get it, guys? The head of the class. No? Anybody?
Fine joke. It's a fine joke if you've seen the show. No, that's what about it.
Oh my God!
Howard Hessman was in it.
Howard Hessman was on it. That's true. Great.
That
joke.
was
That
so
weird guy
funny.
who went and diddled a bunch of kids at Nickelodeon was in it.
Oh,
Wow, that was so funny. Listen to the panel laughing.
huh? What?
The panel is laughing. Exactly.
Now, where's the
Yeah.
tumbleweed?
Yeah, I think
tumbling
the
tumbleweed.
NBC's Saved by the Bell pretty much trumped Head of the Class.
Debug remembers. There you go,
Debug-
Tom.
Before Saved by the Bell, there was
It was
Head of the
before,
Class.
but I think
Dan
Saved by the
Schneider,
Bell was
yes.
an answer to it, and it basically took over.
Yeah, Dan Schneider was the other guy I was talking about. Yeah. Then didn't what's his face Billy Connolly take over that show after a while?
Yeah, I think that was him. He was on that one. Hmm.
I wish Eddie Deason was a studio. Did he just get arrested? Brian Robbins made those awful Eddie Murphy movies. Which ones?
Yeah, you need to be a little narrow that.
You got to
down
be a little bit more
bud.
specific. Which era?
Yeah, a few awfuls. He had some great ones, but he had some awful ones.
Are we talking before Nutty Professor or after?
Yeah. Talking about that vampire one, or just you're going to go all the way out to Pluto
I actually haven't
Nash?
seen that in the theaters.
Oh wow, the Pluto Nash, of course.
Pluto Nash and Norbit are post. Well, pre would be like,
They'd be the bad bed,
the vampire one, and the
right.
Vampire in Brooklyn, is that it?
Yeah, Vampire in Brooklyn. That's it. I actually have that on
Did you
Blu-ray.
see that? Oh no, kidding. Why do you have that?
I don't know why Meet Dave made me fucking laugh for some goddamned reason.
Wow.
And I know it's a bad movie, but for
Is that
some
the
reason,
robot one?
yeah, but where there's a bunch of aliens inside of it. Yeah, but
No.
for some reason, it made me just fucking lose it a couple times. I'm just like, what the fuck? This is not even that great.
Then they ripped it off on Doctor Who.
Did they really?
Yes.
Interesting. Were you saying something, Mike? You cut out there.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Were you high? I might have been. That's very possible. That could be a good excuse. But with that, I think we're going to start wrapping things up here because, Nick, we got an important movie to talk about here. And how long? Like half hour? 45 minutes?
55 minutes, but you also got some
Yeah.
stuff to do as well. And guys, I mean, we last week was a great time doing Rocky 3. Like, seriously, that was one of the best Toxic Tuesdays yet. Tom can vouch for me on that one. We're also going to have Clobbering Times on there, and we're going to be talking about a classic amongst classics. We're talking RoboCop.
One of the greatest.
It's going to be, as I like to say, huge.
Huge.
So you better be there.
Your
It's
move.
going to be huge. And guys, seriously, it's going to be fun. We have a great time. We have a great panel of guys who love talking these movies. So if you're someone who's out there who's obviously seen me here on Mead, but had been hearing me talk about Toxic Tuesday and not seen it, now's the time to get on it, because from now until the next several weeks, we are going to have some great flicks that we're going to be riding high on. And this is the start of it. So please join us.
I can't quit you, Apollo.
Oh my god, dude. That moment.
We need to redo the whole Rocky 3 thing and do our own dialogue, but replace the word fight with fuck.
Jeez.
I can't fuck up Apollo, I'm scared.
Oh,
When you
Stallion.
fucked me, Rocky, you had that eye. The eye of the tiger, man.
Stallion, you had the fuck in you. You were motivated. You had the drive. The drive.
Rocky 3, the F cut.
Yeah. Well, I came to the conclusion that is the most non-gayest movie of all time.
Dude,
even more than Top Gun.
yeah, right. We came to that conclusion even more than Top Gun, because those two, it was more intimate. They knew each other. They had attachment to each other. It was more personal. Whereas the guys in volleyball and Top Gun, they're just all
The beach
casual.
scene clinched it. The beach scene clinched it. It was just
So
there's
one
too
is
much.
so one of them is about true love, and the other one is basically the California bathhouses.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we didn't catch that in 1983 when that sort of thing.
Rocky is all about true love. Rocky cannot quit Apollo, and Apollo can't quit Rocky. It is true love made. They
That
even
just makes the mid-act in Rocky 4 that more tragic when Apollo
doesn't it?
dies.
It does. It really makes the romance.
Is Creed,
like,
is Creed
solidified.
Rocky's illegitimate son?
Yes. You
But
read my mind.
seriously, come check us out in 50 minutes, guys. It's gonna be a fun time.
Well, and they even make Adrian look dumpy as fuck in those last few movies. I'm like, they literally have her in Mickey's wardrobe. Like, what did she do? Take all his fucking clothes after he died, or what?
They did. They totally did. hey, Mickey, since like Mickey was like
Hey,
my
this looks
father
like it
figure,
fits you, Adrian.
and yeah, you should wear his clothes and remember.
Maybe if you dress more like a man, I would fuck you more often.
Oh my God.
So notice because he's so attached to Apollo and Mick. Like Mick, he needs. So he's like, okay, well, Mick is dead, so at least I'll have Adrian wear her clothes. But Apollo, he's still
That's like
fit.
some creepy
So
fucking
Apollo
shit.
can still wear all the nice tight clothes because especially one of those shorts like he was riding up
Tighty
his ass like
shorts.
a thong. Because he's just like, oh, see, I got Apollo for the sexy clothes.
Well, I mean,
Man,
Adrian is the same height as Mickey, right? So.
Yes.
That's it works out.
Hey, yo, hey, Adrian, can you like make your voice grovelly and call me a bum?
You suck, Rocky.
You suck.
Shut up. What about my prime?
That's good. That's good. Keep that up.
Party box.
That's the kind of entertainment you'll get over on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser's, kids.
Yes. So please come hang out.
No, I don't think tonight is going to be as homoerotic because we got RoboCop going on tonight.
It's not going to be homoerotic, but it's.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Dead or alive, you're making tacos with me.
I'll buy that for $1.
I am RoboCop Mexican Edition. Would you like a taco? Carne asada.
Stay out of trouble.
Stay out
You
of...
sound more like Venturion from the Venture Brothers.
Why is it I sound different to everybody? I give up.
I think
All right, Mike, you got anything you got to peddle or sell?
Nope.
No rabbit chicken insurance this week?
Go to MEAD Radio. Oh, I know what I want to push. MEAD Radio has been tagged.
The sequel.
Unfairly. We are now at MEAD Radio 2. Go over
Is that
to
the second MEAD Radio 2?
Oh,
It is because the other one got locked out by Google because I didn't use it in enough time. My backup fucking got locked out.
Wait, what?
Wait, can you like retrieve the password or anything?
No, I tried like 3 times in a row now, and they still ignore me.
That's like my Mexican Iron Man live channel. I can't get into that either.
Yeah, like I had a MEAD Radio 2 with the Roman numeral 2 before, so this time search for the one with the actual number 2. So much like Jaws 2 and all other sequels, this one's bigger and badder, kids. That's right. It's the same thing. Don't let me fool you. Yeah, check it out. If one of the mods is in the chat, they can share the link. Otherwise, I'll try and grab it here. Nick Weiser, as we just pointed out, he's got Toxic Tuesday coming up here. So do run over there and check us out there. I'll be heading over there. Then we've got Clobbering Times. Anything you got coming up?
Well, just the usual Wednesday night, open Wednesday, wild card Wednesday night. Thursday's Globby's Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. Friday mornings, I'll be on Loki's channel, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time there, where I'm reviewing each episode of The Orville for the next 9 weeks. And then Saturday night, Star Trek, of course, the big one, which we're having a great time on reviewing all of real Star Trek, getting toward the end of Star Trek The Next Generation, just about halfway in the middle of that season. So we have a lot of fun. So thank you so much, everyone who's joined us for that. And thank you so much, Tom, for having me on tonight, man.
Absolutely. I got to get you added to the description yet, too. And finally, Script Doctor. Do you have anything coming up or no?
Nah.
I figured as much. Well, we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. You'll pop up somewhere. You always do. We don't see you on the morning show. I'm sure we'll see you again real soon. Cardinal Sin here sends in a super sticker. It's a pear that says thank you and bows. Thank you so much yourself, Cardinal Sin. We appreciate that.
Hey, Cardi.
Hey.
That helps keep the lights on here. And Steven also sending out the link there for MEAD Radio 2, as well as I did here, post it as well.
Yes,
So go ahead and
sub
sign
to
up.
MEAD Radio.
Subbing right now.
Make his number
sauce.
2 bigger than his number 1, guys.
That's
And
right.
only you guys can help his number 2 be bigger. So get on it.
That's right.
Okay, Nick is not in charge of promotional script writing because that came out weird.
I agree. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you guys on the panel for also showing up here. We appreciate that. And with that,
You know, it's amazing. You are 100% wrong.